We need to reload and try it again, okay? Good evening.
Good evening.
Excellent. Thank you all for being here tonight. We know it's the middle of the summer and it's hot, so we appreciate your civic engagement. My name is Steve Bradshaw. I'm going to be your next county commissioner from District 4. Share briefly a little bit about myself. I describe myself as a soldier, as a teacher, and as a businessman. As a soldier, I spent 7 years on active duty as a United States Army officer, formerly trained as a tank commander, and fought in the first Persian Gulf War in 1991. As a teacher, I've had the great privilege and honor of being an adjunct professor in the Andrew Young School of Policy Studies at Georgia State University. I've trained the next generation on public service leadership. Glorious honor to be able to do that. And as a businessman, I've spent most of my time since leaving the military in the 90s in the private sector, mostly in business development, which is a euphemism for sales, and my most recent position being as a business development manager with Delta. And I share all that with you so you have a sense of my background, that I'm well-rounded. My decision-making will be based on reasoning and solid judgment. And that's what's required in DeKalb County as we move forward and move DeKalb County into the future. So in terms of areas of focus, briefly, which I'm sure we'll get into more deeply as the program progresses, you know, obviously ethics and integrity has to be at the top of the list. We have to change the narrative of DeKalb County. The second thing is public safety. And then the third issue, I'll put under the big umbrella of business development. We got to make DeKalb County more business friendly going forward. So I look forward to the evening as it evolves. And once again, I thank you for your presence tonight.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you all for having me here this evening and allowing me the opportunity to come and speak to the constituents of District 4. I'm Commissioner Sharon Sutton. I have served as your commissioner for the last 7 years. In terms of my background, I have a Bachelor of Science degree from the University of Alabama. I have a Master's in Business Administration from Mercer University. I've worked and lived in this county for over 25 years. I've worked as a teacher for many years, a business education teacher, where I taught my students how to work, live, and play in today's society. I've developed programs. I developed an academy that allows our youth to grow and learn and flourish. It supports families. It utilized a partnership with the YMCA and the school districts so that we could use facilities that our taxpayers have already paid for. I moved here in 1986 with my children after becoming a widow. My husband was a military officer in the United States Army. He was a company commander. He was highly decorated. At his death, I had to make a decision. Was I going to mourn for the rest of my life? Or was I going to pick up and be resilient and take care of my family and be a flourishing part of my community? I chose the latter. I moved here to Atlanta. I moved to DeKalb County. I moved to Stone Mountain. I could have chosen any place in the world to go, but I chose here. Because this is a wonderful place to live. It wasn't just a wonderful place to live back then. It still is a wonderful place to live. And I've been a part of making it that way. For the last 7 years, I have worked to make changes here. Developed a plan for economic development. Actually, developed a plan. Worked to make it happen. And we're in the midst of making that happen right now. There are jobs coming here. There are people moving back here. Our population is growing. We have a plan for paving our roads. We have a plan for paying our employees more. I introduced legislation to give raises to all of our employees, to clarify their job descriptions, so that we would have a more efficient and effective government. That's being responsive to the needs of our citizens. It's not about answering the phones. I have assistants who answer the phone. But when that phone rings, I take care of the issues because that's my job. So in order to be someone who can be productive and effective in this job, you have to really understand what the job is. I have the experience to make things happen. I've made them happen, and I will continue to make them happen if you choose me to continue to be your commissioner. It has been a pleasure to serve you all of these years, and I want to continue to do it. I have a plan, I have a proven track record. Now I know people will start talking about all the things they've seen on TV, but if you look back, they're just allegations. These are allegations made by people who are my political opponents because they needed a platform to run on. They couldn't run on my record, they couldn't run on the truth, so they made false allegations, fed into the media. But one thing I want you to see, I'm still standing here. There are many who have been to prison, been indicted, but I'm standing right here. Yes, evening.
I just have one question for Mr. Bradshaw. Mr. Bradshaw, you often attack Commissioner Sutton on the ethics, and I just wondered why you have never shared the story about her not having to have done nothing wrong.
Thank you for the question. Are you a Watergate resident?
Yes.
Okay, just curious. I don't attack anybody. That's not the kind of campaign I'm running. Anything I've reported is just what's been reported in the media. So I take exception to the idea that I'm attacking anybody. That's not how I was raised. That's not how I operate. That's not what I'm doing. You know, I'm running for the seat. I'm not running against anybody because I think I have certain skill sets and certain abilities that make me qualified to do this job. So that's my answer to that question.
Okay.
Mr. Bradshaw, what political affiliation do you have? Democrat or Republican?
Democrat.
Okay. Commissioner Barnes. It says on your flyer that my opponent and his Republican handlers are determined to blah, blah, blah. All right, I need for you to legitimize the statement concerning his Republican handlers, being that he's a Democrat. And would you please address at least two of the bullets that you have that he's in opposition from your flyer?
Thank you for that question. Okay, the first one was his political affiliation.
Yes.
His Republican handlers. All you have to do is look at his campaign disclosure and see who's supporting him. Look at his endorsers and see what party they're affiliated with. Check out the Facebook and see what his supporters say about him, about themselves, and about me. That's how I got that information. Look at his voting record. He voted in 2000 Republican. Now, he said it wasn't George Bush, but he voted for someone who was running for president in 2000. He dedicated a book to George Bush. And in 2011, when President Obama had been the president for several years, he wrote a letter to George Bush requesting his endorsement of his book. Well, President Obama could have endorsed his book. President Obama awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor to John Lewis. All of his activity happened in the 60s. He wasn't the president then, but he was the president in 2011, and he was the commander-in-chief. That just shows respect to the commander-in-chief of this nation, not the one who was the commander-in-chief, who was a Republican back in 2000, whenever he wrote the letter. Whenever he was in service. That's what I'm saying. So look, check out the facts. I can back them all up. What was the rest of your question?
Address two of those bullets that you got there that he's in opposition to. And at least you've got 6 posts.
Okay, name one of them. I'll show it.
Limit access to public parks and promote partnership with lead recreation groups, and prevent building of the new district for library.
Okay, I saw an interview with him on TV, and I heard him say that we don't need a new district for a library, we can repair the old one. Well, the library board recommended that we get 2 new libraries in the Stone Mountain area. 2. When the bond referendum came around in 2006, it was left off. That was a political decision. I don't know why I wasn't here then. But I know that the need is not only still here, it has increased because more people live here now. I had an opportunity when we had some interest money left over and we refinanced our bonds, which allowed us to have about $24 to $26 million extra. So the commissioners had an opportunity to use that money for capital improvements. I knew that District 4 had not received a library, 2 libraries, had not received a senior center like all the other districts had. So I allocated the money for that. He does not support it because his handlers do not support it. Those people who are sponsoring his campaign, who are prepping him, who have groomed him for the last 4 years because they want control of this commission. I tell you, it's all about money. When someone says there's $1.6 billion, they just don't understand that we have more than $1.6 billion worth of needs, and much of that goes to water and sewer and to our enterprise funds. If you're not in the job, you might not understand that. I would have thought they would have prepped him better than that. But we don't have the funding to take care of our parks the way that we should. That's why we're doing the SPLOST, to take care of those capital needs. Our parks are overused. Yes, Brad Walker. Thank you.
Mr.
Are
Bradshaw.
you afforded a chance to respond? Okay. Where in the world do I begin with all of that? Let's talk about my supporters, okay? I'm proud of my supporters. I share the same supporters as Mike Thurman, Sherry Boston, Marita Davis Johnson. I share the supporters. I'm very proud of the support I've received throughout DeKalb County. No qualms about that whatsoever. So let's take that off the table. Now, how many of y'all have been in the United States military? Veterans? Okay. Thank you for your service. You know, as a young officer, what you're taught is you follow the orders of the Commander-in-Chief. You don't check his political party. Right? You don't check his political party. The reason the letter, the beginning of my book, is from George H.W. Bush is because George H.W. Bush was my commander-in-chief in 1991 when I was in the First Persian Gulf War. And I'm very proud of that. Commander-in-chief, as far as the military goes, knows no political party. I've got no qualms with that. The third thing is, well, those are the two big ones. The 2000 election. A lot of you may remember, may not remember, but in our primary, the Democratic primary, it was Albert Gore versus Bill Bradley. By the time that primary got to the state of Georgia, that primary was over. I mean, Bill Bradley didn't carry a single state. I made the overt decision to vote in the Republican primary, specifically to vote against George W. Bush. I voted for John McCain in the Republican primary. That's what I did. And I just received, that's what I did. I wanted to vote against George W. Bush. And, you know, just in full disclosure, I read McCain's book, Faith of My Fathers, about his military service, which is a very powerful and moving book. So all of that is easily explained. Regarding my voting record, I've been voting since I was 18 years old. I'm 53, so that's over 30 years. Anybody can look at Vote Builder and pull up my voting record. High propensity Democrat. That's what it says. There's no hiding from that. So I don't know what all this is except for obfuscation to make you think that I'm something that I'm not.
You want both of the candidates to let you know what they're going to do as commissioner.
They're gonna fight.
Right. Okay, that's it. Thank you, Mr. Wright.
You want to fight? Fight.
Mr. Bradshaw.
Sir, if I understand your question, you're looking for somebody with some fight, right?
That's it.
Somebody who's going to go to the commission and show guts. You know, I tell people this all the time. I haven't had my guts challenged since I had to fight James Gorey in the 5th grade. So, I'm a soldier at heart. I know what it means to fight on the battlefield, and I know what it means to get in a room with peers and negotiate for the good of my constituency. So that's what I'm going to do. You guys decide to elect me, you'll have an advocate, you'll have a warrior, you'll have a fighter for the best interests of District 4. What you'll also have is a good negotiator, somebody who can work across geographical lines, across racial lines, to move District 4 and DeKalb County forward.
question. And I will tell you right now, I fight every day for District 4.
Yeah, that's good.
I fight for projects here. I fight for equity here. I am a negotiator and I work with people all over this nation. But I know the difference between compromise and giving in. You can only negotiate and work with people who are willing to work with you. If someone is, their only mission is to bully you and force you and control you, then you have to fight for your life, you have to fight for your people, you have to fight for your districts, and that's what I do. So in terms of the SPLOST, the sidewalks and all of that, I fought for that. We did not even have the right to ask for it. I fought for that. I fight for you every day. I fought to make sure that we could get a library that we would deserve and plan for, to get a senior center, to get sidewalks, to get road improvements and fire stations. That's what commissioners do. In terms of Wade Walker Park, I fought for Wade Walker Park. There were those who didn't want to allocate money to improve those fields. People on the commission board. They weren't negotiating with me. I had to fight, work with the other commissioners, get a majority of the vote, and get that money allocated. So right now, there's money to fix the fields, to fix the lights, to fix the boards. It is not my job to do the operations, to go out and fix it. That's the CEO's job. I spoke with him today. Today, it was identified to me that $74,000 was already allocated and scheduled to be spent on not just grass seeding, but sod for those fields. It will be installed in the fall. That is responsiveness, and that's what a commissioner does. I allocated the money, I addressed the needs, I fought for it, and I won. I win for you. And that's why you should keep me in office. I don't have to listen to what somebody else tells me about what's going on or what I need to say. I know who the commander-in-chief is in 2016. I know who it was in 2011. It wasn't a George Bush. It was Barack Obama. My husband was a military officer who died in service. He was highly decorated, a company commander. I know about service. If you're a military family, you travel with your husband, you support the military, you support the families. I did my job as a military wife. I understand that. I was a part of it and I continue to do it. When he died, I stood up as a woman and raised my children. I took care of business, and I'm still taking care of business here in DeKalb County. Now, you can call me names. I see his supporters. You talk about his supporters, but they are Republicans. Look at Facebook.
How you on the call?
You got my phone. Simple as that.
There we go.
Well, this answer might be wholly unsatisfactory, but the truth is, I don't know. I mean, if you're talking about your specific homeowners association and what they're extracting from you and what you're not getting from them, I don't know what the county's role in that is. I honestly don't. I mean, that's an issue I'm not versed in, so I'm not gonna start hooking and jabbing and trying to tell you something to appease you. I just don't know the answer to that.
Well, may I interrupt just a minute? My association's not, they're plenty just like this association. So this is not an isolation. There are other associations as well.
Thank you. As a county commissioner, we don't have control over your associations. However, the people in the community do. And I would encourage the people in the community to enforce the covenants and pay the money for the association. Everybody should participate, not just a few. And that's one of the causes of the fees going up, because not everybody participates. There is a remedy for that. You have to take the people to court, put a lien against their property. Those are the things you have to take legal remedy to get people to participate in that. It shouldn't be that way, but there are times when it is. Perhaps the homeowners association could make it easier for people to participate. I know that there's some associations will have an annual fee or a biannual fee. Maybe that's a lot for someone to come up with. Maybe let them pay monthly, do installments. Maybe give them some type of reprieve where we will forgive 2 years if you will start a payment plan now and catch up over time. So I think you have to work with people, find a way to resolve that issue and take care of the community. But at the end of the day, that's a private matter for that community, and they have to hold up their end of the bargain. If there's any way that I could bring some wisdom or influence to help mediate that, I will be happy to, but that would just be Sharon doing it. It's not part of my responsibility as a commissioner.
You got my vote.
Thank you.
Well, thank you all for coming out on a hot summer night in your civic engagement. Thank you all that are actual Water's Edge residents for being here. I appreciate your attendance tonight. I'll share this with you, okay? I spent my formative years in Savannah, Georgia. And we've had a series of problems down there. I mean, it's an old southern town, okay? But recently, something happened in Savannah, Georgia that was pretty remarkable. So Savannah, Georgia sits in Chatham County. Chatham County is majority white. The re-elected chairman of the county commission is black. The city of Savannah is majority black. The newly elected mayor is white. Now, I am sick and tired of this county being torn asunder, north, south, black, white. It's holding us back. It just is. We've got to outgrow that paradigm. Because if we don't, we'll be back here 4 years from now talking about everything that hadn't been done. I'm sick of it. I'm for working together, across racial lines, across party lines, serving the interests of this district to move this county forward. Now, you can believe the hype and propaganda if you want to. That's your right as a citizen. But I'm here to work, not to play games, not to mess around, not to engage in divisiveness. Let's lock arms, work together, and move this great county forward. As great as this county is, as large as this county is, as many assets that we have, we're still bogged down in that. Really? 700,000 people? Really? All the talent that we have? Really? That's what it always comes down to? I just don't believe it. We can do better than this. And that's what I'm offering, so I ask for your support in the runoff election on July 26th. Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to come and speak with you tonight, and thank you to the Homeowners Association for having this forum. I agree that it is really sad that racism still exists in our society, but denying that it exists does not help us solve the problem. We have to recognize it, we have to own it, and we have to do something about it. Now, working together, that's a great thing to do, and I'm willing and able and have done that. That's why I've had so many successes here in this county. I do also recognize that there are some people who don't want to work with me. So when that's the case, that's when I have to put on the boxing gloves and fight for you, fight for your rights, fight for your share of the American dream, fight for our county, because the divisiveness doesn't start with me. I'm here for all citizens in DeKalb County. My voting record shows it. I have never voted for against a single thing that's prosperous in any district. I support this county. I support its people. I think the people here are wonderful and beautiful, diverse. I'm accepting, and I embrace that. But I'm not foolish enough to stand up here and say racism doesn't exist. It most definitely does. And you see that it's not in the name calling anymore. It's in the allocation of resources. When you believe in your heart that it's okay to put new libraries and senior centers in one part of the county and not the other, and then you live up there and come over here to my part of the county and tell me I can't have it because it's a want and not a need, that's telling me something. That's telling me that you're not trying to work with me. You don't respect the people who live here. So I can't just agree and say, okay, honey, it's okay, my people, we're gonna throw some money into the oldest library in the system, and that's okay for the people over here. But when I step into those libraries over there, they're beautiful, and I help make them beautiful. So am I gonna do more for somebody else than I do for my own? No. This is where I live. These are the people who put me in office. So yes, I'm gonna fight for you. Yes, I will call a spade a spade. I didn't like the way that the cities were allowed to form. Self-government is fine for me, but if you're allowed to take assets that were for everybody and keep them all to yourself, I have a problem with that. Then you don't have to take any responsibility for expensive services like fire department, water, sewer. The county still has to do all of that, and we just have less money to do it. That's not self-determination, that's greed. When you look at all of those cities and you don't see any diversity in their governmental structure, no mayors, no city council people, nobody of any color, then you have to wonder, well, maybe there's a little racism going on here. The line is out. You have to wonder. But that's not the whole story. That's not the whole story. The story is we have a ways to go, but we can get there. This is the most diverse county in the state. We do live and work together and love each other. We just have a few hiccups along the way, but we have to keep working to make it better. But we can't bury our heads in the sand and say it's not happening. We work to make it better. And that's why my theme is working with you for a better DeKalb. DeKalb is great, but it can always do better. And I'm asking for your vote on July 26th or early voting, which begins July 5th, so that we can continue to make this county better. I have shown you tonight what I do. I work for this county. I work hard for this county. So political smears, a smear campaign, that doesn't change the facts, and I hope that you can see through that. They did that to President Obama. He said he wasn't even a citizen. People tell me if they read the stories about me and all the stories that, do you know that I'm the most covered elected official besides Mayor Cassine Reed? Now, if I had done all of those things that they said I did, I would be under the jail right now. I was not one of the ones who was indicted. I was not one of the ones who went to prison. I'm still standing here. I was investigated along with all the other commissioners by the FBI, the GBI, the district attorney, and we had an audit. I passed everything. And still people are talking about something that I was accused of 10 years ago.